How you guys all doing? What I've got for you today is a nice lemon meringue pie. It's really easy to make, and being December, getting close to Christmas, it's an ideal dessert for the Christmas holidays. So I hope you enjoy it. If you guys have got any questions at all, just feel free to ask me. Good luck.
The key to any good pie is always the pastry. Now, we've got a short crust sort of pastry that we're going to be using today, and obviously you can get a pre-made pastry if you like, but I always find that a homemade pastry, you just simply can't beat it. So what we're going to do is grab a large bowl, and into this bowl we're going to put in 1 cup of flour, really basic, so 1 cup of flour, and 70 grams of very cold butter. The colder the better. It makes it easier when you form your dough. Now all you're going to do, you can chuck it into a food processor if you've got one. It makes it really easy. But if you don't, like me, just use your fingers and then just mix it all in between your fingers until you get something that looks like fine breadcrumbs at the end of it. So it should sort of look like something like this. Following this, we're going to stick in our water to pull it all together. Now, this is a crucial bit. You don't want to stick in too much water, otherwise your pastry will shrink quite a bit as the water evaporates in the cooking process. So just enough water to pull it together. So I'm going to go slowly, and it should be very cold water. So I'm starting with half a cup of cold water and keep on adding it spoon by spoon until you get just the right consistency where everything pulls together and you can form a nice ball like I have here. With our ball, we're just going to stick it in the fridge for about an hour, or it can go overnight if you need to, so you can prepare this earlier, and we'll move on to the next step. When you guys are all ready to roll out your pastry, just bring it out of the fridge and let it rest at room temperature for a while, just so it's not as hard as a rock when you go to roll it out. Now just lightly flour the surface you're going to be working on before you roll it out, and basically all you're going to do is roll out your pastry until it's around 2 to 3 millimeters thick. This fits ideally into a 20 centimeter pie dish. So I've got my pie dish here. I'm just going to lightly butter the inside of it so nothing sticks to it when we cook it. And with our rolled out pastry that I have here, all we're going to do is press it into the mold of the pie dish. Once we've done this, we can trim off any excess pieces and tidy up nicely. And the final step before putting it into the oven is to get a fork and prick it all over so it doesn't puff up when you cook it. So make sure you've got heaps of little holes in there and you'll be fine. We're going to put this into a preheated oven at around 200 degrees for roughly 10 minutes. You need to keep an eye on it. You don't want it to dry it out, but you want it to be a nice golden colour and to be quite flaky and crunchy. While our pastry is in the oven, we can work on the lemon filling that's going to make up this pie. So what I've got here is a saucepan, and all we're going to do is stick in 1 cup of caster sugar, followed by the zest of 2 lemons. Now we're going to stick in 1.5 cups of water, and also 1/2 cup of corn flour. This will help thicken everything up. Now a trick for the corn flour is to dissolve it with water. That way you don't have any lumps in your nice lemon filling. Okie doke, once our filling starts to thicken, we're going to stick in the yolk of 3 large eggs. Now make sure when you separate the yolk and the white, keep the white aside, that'll form our meringue. Following our egg mixture, we're going to stick in 2 tablespoons of butter, and we're just going to let it melt through. And finally, to finish off, we're going to stick in the juice of 2 lemons. We're just going to mix this all in nicely, and you'll see it change colour to a rich yellow colour, and it'll taste great. If your pastry is ready, you can remove it from the oven and just let it sit until we have everything ready to form the pie. Now we're just going to work on the meringue part now. Everything else is done. So we've got 3 egg whites in here of 3 large eggs. Now all we're just going to do is put a pinch of salt in, and then use an egg beater and then beat it until it's formed stiff peaks. A trick is, I always got told, which was quite cool when I was a kid, it should be ready when you can turn the bowl upside down and nothing falls out. There's been a few disasters in that story, but that's for another day. So once we get to this point with our stiff meringue, we're going to stick in half a cup of caster sugar, and I'm going to repeat the process until we're back to the stiff peaks again, and this is complete. It's time to put all three separate pieces together to formulate our pie. It's the most exciting bit. So we've got our pie shell here and our pie dish, and all we're going to do is put our lemon filling in first and make sure it's got a nice flat surface. Spread it all the way around, and once that's done, we're going to pile our meringue on top. Now it's up to you how thick you want the meringue. If you like your meringue, make it thicker. If you don't necessarily like it that much, make it thin. It's up to you, but I quite enjoy a thick one, so I'm just going to pile it on here. And the very important part is making sure that the meringue touches the outside shell of the pie. Otherwise you'll find when you cook it, it'll contract and it'll pull away from the edges, and you'll be left with a floating meringue island, which might look cool, but it's not what you're after. So just make sure that the meringue touches the outside pie shell and you'll be fine. So just smooth across the top, and if you're into this sort of stuff, just get your spoon and then quickly pull it off the top to give these nice little peaks. They'll go brown when you cook it and it'll look quite cool. So once you've done this, we can chuck it back into the oven at 180 degrees. So just turn it down a little bit, and we're just going to leave it in there until your meringue turns slightly brown. Okay, very slightly brown. You don't want to overcook it, it will become tough. So as soon as you see your peaks turn brown, whip it out of the oven and let it sit at room temperature before you slice it up and eat it, or you can stick it in the fridge after it's cooled down and serve it up later. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Like I said, if you've got any questions, just feel free to ask me, and yeah, good luck.